Hey, I'm not a racist or anything, but thanks for watching my videos. That has nothing to do, with racism, but I just wanted to get your attention. And now that I have it, I will be the first to admit that the vast majority of my videos contain ideas that are not what the writers had in mind. But I like to look at this show from a standpoint by which I suspend my disbelief. I imagine as if this were a real universe in which all this is happening, and I examine the facts from the point of view, not that this is a TV show, but rather that this is a continuity with rules that have reasons behind them. It's how I think all good shows and movies should be viewed. Derpy's eyes were originally an animation error, with no reason other than that some animator made a mistake. But the creators accepted it as a set-in-stone part of what is in this world of theirs, and they rolled with it. That's the kind of attitude I like to keep with shows like this. That's why most of my theories aren't quite what the writers would have had in mind themselves. However, I thought that I would switch things up a bit. This theory is different. This theory is one that has a great deal of legitimacy. This theory is something that the writers and animators intended, but everyone else missed. Let's go back a couple seasons to Ye Olde Castlevania, the Pony of Shadows. At this point, the dust has settled, and everyone seems to pretty much have their opinion over what this is and who it is. Everyone has pretty much decided that this Pony of Shadows is either Tyrek or Zecora. Tyrek, much like the Pony of Shadows, shows up towards the end of this same season sporting a dark black cloak and glowing eyes. Like a lot of other episodes this season, it makes plenty of sense that this cliffhanger might just be a nod towards Tyrek's arrival at the end of the season. But there were hardly any episodes that actually used a cliffhanger in this kind of way at all throughout the entire season. They all got their keys, sure, but nothing really implied anything else major, and some of them meant little to nothing. Additionally, Tyrek looked totally different when he first appeared, and he'd have no reason to be wandering around the castle late at night. And if he was, surely he'd know about Twilight, which he didn't by the time he came to power. Zecora seems a little more likely. One of the biggest points one can make is simply that her eyes are much more similar looking to this one's. But again, this leaves questions. While Zecora lives in Everfree, why would she have wandered over to the castle at this time of night? And why would she lurk around all creepy-like instead of just coming out and talking? The way this scene was played out heavily implies that this is either the Pony of Shadows or someone new. So who is this? We could assume that the legends given to us by Applejack are true, that this is some of the leftover magic from Nightmare Moon, also known as the Nightmare Forces from the comics. The eyes are definitely similar, but that's not exactly how it worked. The nightmare creature that took over Luna was one entity that was banished through the elements of harmony. It was never present in Equestria. Once it manifested, it was sent to the moon. Once it returned, it was banished. If something survived the elements of harmony after Luna returned, there's hardly any chance that it wandered around the castle long enough for Granny Smith to start casually spreading rumors about it so quickly. These stories that Granny Smith tells are most likely older, one that she's been telling for a long time, and just that, stories. Meaning that these stories were told originally during Nightmare Moon's imprisonment. By definition, it can't be true because a single entity that is Nightmare Moon is on the moon. The Nightmare Forces, as far as we know, never left the moon either. So who or what is this? Though they refer to it as the Pony of Shadows, in the scene a few moments before this, Spike says,
"Shadow ponies? How ridiculous is that?"
He refers to the existence not of a Pony of Shadows, but of shadow ponies. He's talking about this, grammatically speaking, as if it were a race or kind of pony defined by shadows. This is important because he says this just before the cliffhanger of the actual mysterious figure is shown. Thus, the writers are basically labeling this figure not only as the Pony of Shadows, but also as one of many shadow ponies. So, are there shadow ponies? The idea is grounded enough in Equestria to prompt Rainbow into believing the Shadow Bolts to be a legitimate team of flyers. But if you think that I'm gonna hang this theory on some grammar and context, you'd be left. As in not right, as in wrong. You'd be wrong. Everyone tries to tie these ponies' eyes to something they've seen before, but they focus so much on the eyes that they forget to see where the eyes are coming from, a wall. Now most people might just dismiss this as a thoughtless attempt at making a cool effect. zooming in on a silhouette and fading out after seeing glowing eyes. But this was probably intentional. Of course, if someone's eyes are glowing, they're not going to reflect off of the same wall that they're casting a shadow on. And they're not. These glowing eyes aren't reflecting off of the wall, they're coming from it. They're coming from within the shadow. This isn't the shadow of the Pony of Shadows. This is the Pony of Shadows. Those are its eyes. It is a shadow pony. Is it the only one? Are there more? Is it in any way related to Nightmare Moon? I got no idea. Those are thoughts for another day. But I do have one last thought. This Pony of Shadows is literally defined by being a shadow. What would its actual name be? Everyone's name seems to be based on their defining characteristics. Celestia raises the sun. Luna, which is Spanish for moon, raises the moon. So, following that same line of logic, what is Spanish for shadow? Yeah, I said this in a comment on a video a ways back, but it's still an interesting idea. I mean, he literally was made of shadows and stuff. He could have been that guy. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and remember, I have a Patreon. You should click on it. Go to it. Help me. Please.